Hello, I'm Dr. Diana Jones in the School of Social Work at UTA. Thank you for your time today. This project was sponsored by the UTA Library's Faculty Teaching in the Archives and Special Collections Division. This project was conducted as a redesign of social work courses that are currently taken by our students. The courses are the first social work macro courses that students take. It helps students to study a chosen community over the semester. It includes students choosing a community of interest, such as a community where they live or work, or a community that they would like to know more about. Typically, these communities are plagued by social issues such as poverty, homelessness, lack of resources, and communities of color. Students engage with their chosen communities and examine them through various lenses. For example, through research, articles, people, and assets that are available in the community. In true social work fashion, students examine their chosen communities through structured approaches to identify and foster community growth, address challenges, and promote well-being, emphasizing participation, empowerment, and shared goals. One of the key theoretical approaches we use is the asset-based community approach that highlights the assets that can be leveraged for advocacy and change, such as Jack Rothman's model, Roland Warren's model. Here are other theoretical frameworks on the screen used to engage, assess, plan, develop for change, implement strategies, and evaluation that assist in social change. Social planning and social change is the key to these courses. This is the generous practice model of social work when working with all or larger systems. Two primary models that define community development and social action on the community level, Jack Rothman's 1968 and Roland Warren's 1978 models. Rothman looks at locality development, identifying the assets to address the issues in the community. For example, community participation helps to develop leadership and acceptance, collective problem solving, and all to empower residents and create a cohesive and supportive community. Social planning is the collective action in Rothman's model that seeks to develop the well-being of the community through policy advocacy and evidence-based programs to address those problems that plague the community. Social action, that third step. This step is the collective action of the community to address its issues through community assets. Then we move on to Warren's model. Students learn key aspects of the community, including the functions of a community, production, distribution, and consumption in the community. This is how the community provides support and resources for their community members. Socialization provides community members with activities and support in which they can come together as a community and socialize and support community members, such as food pantries, learning and gathering places, and other material and basic needs. Another function by the community is social control, in which communities promote compliance with community values, laws, and processes that foster social norms, values, and beliefs. As you can see here, social participation is another part of Warren's model. This helps to build stronger, more inclusive, and vibrant societies. It fosters a sense of belonging and well-being among individuals and promotes collaboration and unity within communities. And last, but certainly not least, mutual support is that essential support system within a community that promotes giving, help, and encouragement, that builds resilience and well-being in the community. Many of the current models of development in communities are based on these primarily two models and the asset-based community model. This next slide is one of the great activities that students love to do, is mapping the assets of the community. And one of those assets is assessing an HSO, or the community organizations that address the issues that they're currently examining. This is a key activity of the community assessment and helps to identify organizations that provide services, programs, and other strategies to address the identified social issue. One of the key tenets of community development is capacity or infrastructure that currently addresses the issue in the community. This is key as not to duplicate efforts and identify opportunities and resources to address the issues. Also, developing the community map also helps them to really drive the community and look at the resources that are in the community. The windshield survey and community asset mapping. In the windshield survey activity, students drive through their chosen communities to identify the residential and commercial areas in the community. Then, as part of the asset mapping, students identify and map the assets that can be leveraged for social change and action in the community. The assets include the formal and informal organizations, institutions, and associations that provide capacity and cohesiveness for social justice. Key findings. This is a key area of the process and activities of the courses that are available. These particular key findings really help to identify what and put all of the research together. After gathering research, engaging and examining the community and mapping the community, students develop 2 to 4 individual or group key findings, including identifying the strengths, gaps, opportunities, and challenges they identified during their previous activities and study of the community. Advocacy. That's a big part of what we do in the social work profession. The advocacy activity is the culmination of the community scans, looking at the community from exploring the historical background and other opportunities in the community. The research, windshield survey, asset map, assessing an HSO, and community level response to the community key findings. For example, the projects that examined the Stop 6 community in Fort Worth suggested various advocacy models, including grassroots efforts, research, legislative advocacy, and other models which can include building community capacity and readiness for change. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the course and how we were able to infuse the special collections from the UTA libraries. The 5306 and 3306, the foundation and bachelor level courses that immerse the students in their chosen community and issues of interest from their macro perspective. So we looked at 3 particular lenses, and we adopted this as part of the grant, the UTA Libraries grant. 3 historical lenses, looking from a social lens, both historically and currently, political lens, and economic lens. This allowed for demographics of the community, including community factors such as race, status, culture, income, and education. The course also addresses some political factors that impact the community. My community project incorporates a comprehensive political and economic lens by conducting a pest analysis in the community. It delves a little deeper by examining the political, economic, social, cultural, technological, laws, and environmental factors from a historical lens. And this is one of the key things that was able to be added because of the funding. Through the UTA's library grant, special collections grant and funding, I incorporated the historical scan into the course. My applied research project seeks to highlight the value of historical aspects of a community to the current strategies and advocacy in community level social change, and how to empower communities to and for social change. We all know the value of knowing our individual history and the value it brings to self-efficacy and our individual definitions of success. This is the same value that knowing the history of communities can bring to community change efforts. The previous benefits of getting to know the communities that we live and work in is expanded by knowing the history of the community and the issues that plague the community, both from a historical standpoint and currently. Students collected primary, secondary, written, and oral histories, including articles, interviews, photos, books, and other artifacts from the community. The historical background. Now, this is the part that the funding was able to add to the class. The students explored these community aspects and performed a pest analysis of the community to develop their community backgrounds, a historical background. This information helps the students to study the issue and the community's response to the issue from inception, from when the issue became an issue, to explore the issue by asking questions such as, when did the social issue become a problem in the community? What was the community response to the social issue? What organizations or other systems developed to address the issue? The historical background also helps students and practitioners to examine the strategies and interventions were tried, discarded, and which ones were successful. Program outcomes. It's always important, as you can see here on the presentation, by working on historical background, it helped me to understand how the social issue came to be and how it could happen in other communities and cities. Applied research seeks to solve specific and practical problems in the real world. It seeks to find feasible solutions from what is already available and what can be leveraged for added social change. I had the pleasure of guiding approximately 87 students through this examination of over 30 communities, with little over 54% of the students who accessed the UTA Library Special Collections archives to develop their historical backgrounds. Students were asked to provide their feedback on the inclusion of the historical background as part of their community study and are a big part of the project video that is attached. We're always looking for impact. That's we as a people, especially in this degree of social work. What is social impact? In relation to community, social impact is the positive effect of actions, services, programs, and policies on the community and its members. We evaluated the impact of community studies and the proposed advocacy, and we found 3 positive impacts. Students gained knowledge and resources that were essential for practice within communities and with organizations and organizing for social change. They also found ways to redefine, engage, and empower communities and shift the paradigm from need-based to asset-based communities of change. One of the key impacts was the engagement in assessing to build partnerships in the community. This helps to build community capacity and assets that can create better communities. During this project, I knew that communities needed to know the historical value so they did not repeat some of the efforts that have been done in the past that may or may not have worked. The value of community history to the change process is paramount. We also found that they also have value propositions in adding historical backgrounds to the community assessment, the original class. Learning from lessons from the past, informing social change and policy, starting the conversation, and also making evidence-based decision-making, and enhancing the learning experience for the students and thereby creating additional support and effective practices in working with communities. These were all lessons that we learned from this process. Again, I cannot tell you the value that the funding from the UTA libraries added to this project. Consider the various communities that our students live, work, and play. Building valuable processes and analysis are value-added perspectives to consider when engaging, assessing, intervening, and evaluating one community at a time. There is also societal impact in examining the ethical responsibilities and fighting for social change one community at a time. And that's what my students were allowed to do with the UTA Libraries grant. These were 2 of the posters that were part of the showcase that we had. It provides a 1-pager to look at the impact and the project overall, in addition to all of the communities. And as you can see, most of the communities were in the DFW area, but there were a lot of communities, and we have a lot of students that are online students that were also in the Houston, Austin, San Antonio, and other areas of Texas and beyond. We also had one from the Army base in Korea. I can't say it enough. I want to thank UTA Libraries for their funding for the project. It was invaluable, and the students had a great time in learning more about their communities and how they can impact social issues. UTA School of Social Work, thank you for your support in redesigning one of our core courses for our bachelor level and MSW Foundation students that every social work student goes through. Kim and Christina were big helps in this project. They assisted with highlighting the communities through collating data and developing the stories of the community that were studied. Lastly, but certainly not least, the School of Social Work Office of Research in allowing me to present this project as part of their spring research showcase. Thank you all.